and welcome back to a new episode of SEC Fan Banter. I have with me, bringing back again this week, my professional wrestler friend and UT fan, Dylan.
Don't you boo me.
And back again this week is defensive coordinator for the Huntsville Rockets and former college football safety for Georgia Southern, Clint. And coming in new this week, we have a fellow stats enthusiast, my good friend and co-worker at my day job, Blake. So welcome, Blake. Welcome this week.
Appreciate it. Nice to be here. Not quite as expertise as the rest of these banterers, but we'll see what I can input.
Yeah, and Blake is going to be our resident Auburn expert, so we'll see how that works out. We now have the Auburn fan and the Alabama fan. And of course, I'm Zach. I'll be your host and talking about everything that's Alabama related. So, guys, of course, the big news right now in all of sports, coronavirus. So, what's everybody think? I mean, it's essentially shut down the entire sporting world. I'm bored as heck. That's all I can say.
I'll let you guys go first. I'm very upset.
I think they're doing the right thing. We don't know anything about it, so I think they're doing the correct measures to it. They want to get back. We think we're bored. They're losing a bunch of money.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's cool they're giving a lot of those kids their academic another year back that can't play like baseball and stuff.
Right.
I think they're going the correct way about it.
Have they done that? Have they gone back and said they're giving the eligibility? I know
Except
that
for basketball.
Basketball's
Yeah, not basketball. Like they're not because you only have missed a tournament, right? Because
Yeah.
technically, like Vanderbilt, when they lost the SEC championship, like their season's done. So like they can't really, so you can't go back and give them guys a year's worth of eligibility to where now God just because.
Yeah, I saw some talk on that, like how it'll affect even like incoming freshmen or in high school sports, how it affects people not getting, especially like baseball players, not getting to. If this is your come out season, what do you do? Because I haven't heard any talk of what they would do there. I don't think they would give them another year of eligibility.
I've almost seen like they've left. They haven't talked about high school sports.
Yeah, no.
they just wrote that off, kind of like. I'm imagining if you've already been kind of like signed, hopefully they live up to it because maybe there'll be some summer ball this year. Some of those guys can play if they open back up.
Yeah, another interesting point about the coronavirus and how that if they are going to give it these guys, especially like baseball players, because I think that's pretty much set in stone at this point. One thing to consider is how are they going to regulate roster sizes? Because if you're bringing back an entire group of guys for another season that would have been gone, how is that affecting recruiting? How is that affecting roster size? Are they just going to, what do you do? Because your roster's already set, and now you're saying that all the seniors can come back. Most of them will, because, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something less than, say, 5% of Division I athletes in baseball make it to the major leagues and even get drafted. So, you're talking about just guys that get drafted. It's less than 5%. 95% of the seniors are coming back and going to take the NCAA up on that next year of eligibility. What are they going to do in regards to roster size? I think it's just an interesting problem that's created, and we'll see how it works out. But I have to agree with you, Clint. I think they're doing the right thing. We don't know the full extent of this virus. We're no virologists. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. And I think I heard it said best by somebody. I can't remember where I saw the quote, but essentially, they said we would rather overreact or we would rather react this way and it seem like we're overreacting as opposed to underreacting and die because of it. So I think everybody's doing the right thing to this point and shutting everything down.
Yeah, exactly. You can never do too much, but you can always do too little.
I think that's
I agree to an extent with everything that they're doing. Selfishly, it hurts my profession. Like shows canceling, wrestling shows, major companies canceling, having shows with no fans. And then especially for me, independent promotions, and it just sucks. It sucks to see, but I hate it. I hate seeing my friends have to struggle because a lot of the guys in independent wrestling do this this is their day job. That's how they make their money. That's how they feed their families. That's how they feed themselves. And selfishly, again, baseball is my sport. Like that's my thing. That's my niche. That's what I know.
Yeah. I know we talk about college football in here, and we all love college football, and we all talk about college football, but it's not necessarily everyone in here's favorite sport. Dylan, you're one example. I know you love Major League Baseball. That's your thing.
Opening day was pushed back 2 weeks at least, and
I think they came out today and said back to May, didn't they?
Yeah, back to May today. And then even like earlier today, our president said that it could go up until July or August. That's half the season. That is half of the season. So
right.
Who knows? Who knows what can happen if they play 82 games? I'd rather take 82 games than no games at all. But We'll see what happens.
We wish everyone the best. We want everyone to remain safe during this time.
Blame Rudy Gobert.
Can't blame Rudy Gobert. But everybody stay safe during this time. I think, practicing what the CDC's saying with, practicing the social distancing and us keeping all these big events to a minimum will really help curb the spread of this. But, we just want to wish everybody, the best during this uncertain time.
Except for Rudy Gobert. I'm kidding. I love you, Rudy.
Rudy, if you listen to the podcast, which you never will. But
you never will, but I love you. For real. Like, don't
listen to Dylan.
Don't find me and rip me in half. I'm joking. You're a big guy.
All right, so let's get into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. We cut off last time. We were talking about the combine, the NFL combine. We were talking about all the SEC guys there and how they were doing. And today I want to kind of piggyback off of that and continue with our NFL draft look. And let's look at some best fits. Where do we think these guys are going to go? Some of the top players in the SEC. And I think us here covering each of our teams and maybe having to throw the Tennessee fan onto a better team to cover, then we might be able to cover all of the best SEC players. So I want to throw it over to Clint this time. We'll start out with Georgia. Let's talk about some of Georgia's top guys. Who are the top guys, and what are their best fit teams in the NFL? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on that are, right now, I'm not really going to get we don't really have a full explanation because a lot of this is going to be done behind closed doors. There's going to be a lot of media there.
That's
kind of see the process of it. But if you ask me, I would say DeAndre Swift, and probably right now is going to be Jake Fromm as far as the top prospects landing, except for our O-line, of course. But I would say Swift would be the biggest. I want to see Swift go to Atlanta. With Freeman being gone, I'd like to see him go to Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier before we came on. We were talking about all the big trades happening in the NFL just today. There were a ton of trades going down with Devontae Freeman. I can't remember, was Devontae Freeman, was he cut outright or did he get traded?
He cut to free up $3 million in cap space.
Yeah, okay, so they cut him to free up cap space. They've got a glaring need at running back now, and I like that pick. I think they're number 13 in the first round, something around there.
I'm looking right now,
So DeAndre Swift, you see him fitting in Atlanta.
I mean, I don't see him fitting in. That's just kind of a selfish.
Okay, yeah. See the Georgia boy go to Georgia.
Because I was mad they passed up on Gurley.
Yeah.
They let him go all the way to 10. And I think they had the 7th. They took that linebacker. What was his name? Beasley.
Yeah, Vic Beasley.
Yeah. He's not even with him anymore. But I could also see him, like I said, if you want to know where I'd like him to go to see an impact, would be the Chiefs. DeAndre Swift gets to the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned that last time. You were talking about a potential for him. If he falls down to 32 to the Chiefs, I mean, like I said last time, the Chiefs are going to be sitting there like, we just got to give it a gift.
But for some reason, to me, I just feel like the Texans have their eye on someone as far as a running back goes. And I think they might just be bringing Johnson in there just to kind of lead the way a little bit, not put so much of the backbone on a running back, because they have to have some. They have to have. I mean, last time O'Brien messed this up was he did the Giovanni trade and all that.
Yeah. So the big trade, of course, today was DeAndre Hopkins going to the Cardinals for David Johnson, and I don't know the full details of the trade right now, but David Johnson's going to be with Houston, and it looks like Houston's going to be looking for a young running back to back him up, but they now have a glaring hole at the number 1 wide receiver position. I mean, you just traded a top 5 wide receiver, he's arguably the number 1 wide receiver in the league.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb!
I
also, and then Fromm, last but not least, I can see Fromm going to Tampa Bay.
Fromm fitting in Tampa Bay. I like that because, we're not sure what Tampa Bay is going to do with Jameis Winston to this point. So if they draft a quarterback, you're pretty much assured Jameis is moving on.
Yeah, because they didn't even tag him, franchise him.
But one interesting thing that happened, and this one was actually yesterday, so that it actually slipped my mind, but the Titans pretty much assuredly not going to get Tom Brady now. Re-signed Ryan Tannehill to an interesting deal, and then franchised Derrick Henry. So why do the Titans fan over here, as everybody knows from last time, why in the heck do you franchise Derrick Henry, who is the reason you were in the playoffs, and then long-term sign Ryan Tannehill? Is that really the answer at QB?
Trust the process.
Oh, right, okay. Thanks, 76ers.
We're gonna sign Derrick Henry.
That's like saying Dalton's going to be the next one to do this, relive his career.
We're gonna sign Derrick Henry. I don't know who we're gonna give up, but we're gonna sign Derrick Henry. I'm not sure if it'll be mid-season, if there even is a season, or if we just trade some pieces, take a little bit of money off, and then sign Derrick Henry.
But Tannehill at 4 years, that just seems like he had one good year after leaving Miami. And it was arguably because of Derrick Henry. And it was really half a season, about half a season. Mariota started out, the first 6 games or so? Before he came in full time. I'm just wondering, I have to question the move. It's a long-term deal for an unproven guy. It just seems weird to me. I would have thought maybe 2 years max, 15, 20 million a year. It's just odd. I mean, you have to agree.
Look, man, I don't know. Look, we just got it going, okay? Tannehill didn't lose a game until, like, his 9th start, whenever he started. I don't know. Maybe it'll work. We don't have anybody to throw to. Thanks for cutting Delaney Walker.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was terrible. It broke my heart. And we cut Ryan Suckup. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, he's one of the top kickers in the NFL right now.
It's fine. Don't remind me.
We have gone on a tangent.
We went back on another tangent. I mean, we did this last time.
I'm sorry. I'm upset. Those are my boys.
I know. Hey, I am not downing you. I'm just saying.
Those are my boys, Clint.
Well, we will see how that works out. So, Fromm in Tampa Bay, I like that. You got Swift. Best fit, maybe Kansas City, but you're selfishly thinking Atlanta or hoping Atlanta?
Hoping Atlanta, but best fit Kansas City.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure he would rather have Kansas City than Atlanta.
I'm sure everybody would rather have Kansas City.
Oh, Byron Jones.
That's right.
He gets 5 years, $82.5 million. Highest paid cornerback.
Big move right there.
Good job, Dolphins. Way to assure you have no money for anybody else.
Well, they're going to draft their entire team, I think, over the next 2 years.
So I don't follow, one, the NFL at all, but two, Georgia football much. But Jake Fromm, when he was first, recruited, was supposed to be outstanding. He wasn't a terrible quarterback, but he wasn't as good as he was aforementioned to be. So how good is he looking to be in the NFL? Like, what's your thoughts on it? Because that's a genuine question. I have no clue how he's gonna.
I think he knows football well, so I think he can get in there, and I mean he's going to be a toss-up. I believe, like maybe he could be like a Brett Favre kind of mixed in there. He just didn't have any. We didn't have any weapons really this year for him to really act. And the running game was solid, but we had our offensive line got beat up at the beginning of the year beforehand.
I was about to say Georgia gets plagued by injuries just about every year, so it's kind of hard to hold his career up to how well they performed for an SEC team, because it's every year that y'all have a good season. It's halfway through, half the team's gone. So
this coming from an Alabama fan, I honestly think he's probably the most underrated quarterback in the draft. I think he has one of the higher ceilings of any quarterback in this draft, and I think he's going to be one where you're looking years down the road where if he does fall to the second, third, or even the later rounds, that he's going to be a steal.
I mean, I look at it like this. I'll go with Auburn football with you on this. I said it from the time he was there. He did not fit that offense, but he was a good quarterback.
Stidham.
Oh yeah.
But he was a pro style quarterback. I mean, let's just face it. The offense he had weapons, but I mean he just had to throw it up there. And when he had a running back, he had the agility to throw the ball. But the last year, you guys didn't have a solid running game like a Kerryon Johnson, so he couldn't hand the ball off to him 100 times and then get that deep ball. So, but it also tells you his football IQ to getting drafted by the Patriots of all teams. Yeah. But it's also showing them kind of letting Tom Brady mingle. So I think they have hope in him. Maybe not to be a starter this year. Maybe why they get an Andy Dalton, sign a 2-year deal, and he's smart at football too. Let's give him. Come on, Bingle just never gave that guy a chance. You know what I mean? Andy Dalton's got a sense of football and how it should be done.
Yeah.
He didn't have his wide receiver either, a Georgia boy last year.
Yeah,
hurt,
AJ Green.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's just the way I look at it. So, like, you know, people didn't think Cinema was going to be that much. Now, I'm not saying Jake Fromm goes that high. He could fall 6th round or something like that.
Right.
But it doesn't mean, you know, his potential, I think, to be in the league. It's going to depend, man. We got a good draft coming out next year with quarterbacks coming out of college.
At
Real
the
good.
end
The
of the
best
day-
ever, I think, next year.
At the end of the day, Jake Fromm took the Georgia Bulldogs to a national championship game as a freshman and nearly won the game. Arguably should have won the game. It took a miracle comeback from Tua to get him in the game, or to keep them in the game.
And if that's when we were going to win it, that was the year to win it for us.
Yeah.
Because we were losing too many people after that.
Yeah.
You know, we had think about it, we had people you don't even think about, McKenzie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was the year of Chubb. And
Yeah,
Michelle.
so you had two that you just had who are killing it in the league.
Yeah. Chubb and Michelle, both great running backs. Of course, Michelle with the Patriots now, Sony Michelle. And like you said, the Patriots don't draft scrubs.
No.
They know the guys that they draft have a high football IQ.
Because imagine the test they have to go through. So from like Stenham to go and have a conversation with Belichick. Could you imagine that, dude? Could you imagine sitting in that room, the interview, and him asking you questions? Because he's going to draw up stuff just to see how stupid you either really are or how much you can learn. Because those plays they draw up in there, I'm just saying, it also shows you about him going to, you know, Tennessee State and looking at that defensive end, right? That defensive end?
Right, yeah. He went to, Middle Tennessee
Middle
State?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Well, everybody was at the combine.
Yeah, everybody's at the
Belichick's
combine.
over there
Mm-hmm.
looking at this dude just like
MTSU?
Yep.
he's a freak. This guy was over there, he's a freak.
Yeah, and Belichick skipped the combine to go check this kid out because he just heard good things. Yep.
So, Stidham's got a good chance to do it, so that's kind of how I base it off of. Like, I feel like Fromm kind of had Stidham's year the year before that.
Yeah.
You know? But maybe a little bit more wins, obviously, man, you know, but he had more weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, y'all ran Kerryon Johnson to death. I felt bad for that Madison Academy boy there, man.
He can't carry the load for a while.
He did. I mean, like, I remember that. Was it
the
the
national title?
SEC championship, right? Wasn't that it? He played Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, he ran and ran and ran
Because
and
that was the
ran.
year that they beat Alabama. Before this year, they beat Alabama.
Yeah.
It was really just Kerryon Johnson just carrying the ball. I mean, and I think he had a passing touchdown in that game too. I think he did the jump pass, the Tebow jump pass.
Gee, man, he came off a lot better than I expected. Just where he's coming from, man, he showed out.
Kerryon?
Yeah.
He had a great season.
I mean, I know he was-
Yeah, you know what? Y'all had another player behind him, which I'm surprised never went anywhere. I met his dad one time, worked for the Power Cut, Malik Miller.
Yeah.
He never went anywhere, man. Like, I don't know what. I know he graduated at Auburn, but he just kind of stayed in the pack. But him and Kerryon were the two backs. I used to go watch him at Madison Academy.
Yeah.
And,
That's my-
and I used to think Malik was better than Kerryon because he was just bigger built.
My little brother and sister both went to Madison Academy for a little while, so that's the only reason I knew of both of them for
Yeah.
any reason. But yeah, Malik Miller, like,
He was a beast.
yeah, he came out and you thought like, well, he'll get some play time, and then over the course of his career, it was like he would occasionally go in on third
Yeah.
down. I think he caught some injury or something one time that might not have even been an in-game injury, it was a practice injury or something where he kind of fell back, and I was like, oh, just give him another season and then he'll get in there. But it never quite came through more than late game play.
I think he played this year, right? He played this year with y'all, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because I remember at the end of the year, it seemed like, is that Malik Miller?
Yeah.
Like, Malik Miller's still there? Because, I'm pitching Kerryon the league, and Kerryon went, he went to junior?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because Malik was a year behind him, so it makes sense. So, I mean, heck, Malik could still be playing this year on.
Maybe.
Yeah, surprising he didn't do good, man. I thought, because he's a big old boy, he had to have been hurt. I'm surprised he actually didn't transfer, because I feel like he might have did better at maybe a junior, a smaller college, like East Carolina or something, A&M.
Transferred out to ACC school though, even one of like North Carolina State or something like that. Because I mean, I'm sorry, the ACC is just terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I mean,
The ACC?
yeah, the ACC. They've got one team. It's Clemson every year. It used to be Florida State was up there, and NC State was half decent. Even North Carolina used to be good. North Carolina's on the up. I don't want to completely trash the ACC, but just in the past at least 2 years, maybe 3, 4 years, even the ACC's just been bad.
I mean, if you could get Duke to run up, Duke has their chances every now and then, but they're not. Like I said, if you can get Duke in North Carolina, they're getting off just because of the name of their coach, which is cool. They're going to get kids over there just to play with him, which is fine. I think North Carolina's going to come up for a little bit.
Yeah.
they got my boy over there, Switzer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're having to.
That's my dude.
I mean, they're having to recover from their whole academic scandal that they had. So they're just now starting to really recover from that, and Mac Brown's helping that. So.
Yeah, Malik's done. I think he's this last year was his last.
So Malik Miller is done.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That just let's let you know, man. Like the running backs that you think could be good, like still to me, it blows my mind how Evander Holyfield's son's not in the league. I don't get that. I don't not get that. He skipped. I mean, we could have had him last year. That would have been a huge help. I mean, he was I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. And he got cut by the Carolina. It makes no. I don't understand. Like if he did something stupid, but you can't tell me the dude wasn't big enough or strong enough to play.
Yeah.
He was killing folks.
Let's keep this moving. We'll talk about some more best fits for the draft. Hey, Dylan, you want to talk about the Tennessee guy?
So we got this guy named this guy like Peyton Manning.
Why don't we give Dylan a break and go to my short spiel because I don't know jack about the NFL or anyone after they're graduating. It's like once they graduate or are drafted from Auburn, they're out of my mind, out of sight, out of mind. Like I follow the NFL about as well as I follow instructions on IKEA furniture. I don't follow it. The only two I have any inkling about is Marlon Davidson. Second round was the best bet, and then from some of the stuff I read, the best fit for him. He's not fast enough to play off the edge in the NFL. He's got a slow start. That was his biggest thing. He performed pretty well in the combine, I think, but one of his biggest things was his initial step off the line. He's just too slow to play on the edge. So he's going to be interior, somewhere on the interior, just like a what do you call it? Just an in and out guy, like those.
Yeah, like maybe a 4-3 tackle, not a nose guard. I think he's a little small for that, but
the
4-3 tackle.
The best place for him to go is going to be the Falcons. They have what's his name, Grady Jarrett on the inside. So if he's not going to be fast enough to play on the edge, but he's going to get some play time inside, pair him with Grady Jarrett, and you might have a little better outlook. I mean, at least take some of the heat off Grady Jarrett. So I think the only other place I saw him maybe going was the Vikings. But I mean, if he could, I think the best fit's going to be for the Falcons. If not, just to give you some duo, team play there on the inside, rather than whatever he was going to do at the Vikings. Again, I couldn't tell you. Obviously, the biggest draft pick from Auburn is going to be old Derek Brown, and
of course,
the three big teams I think there was talk for was Panthers, Jaguars, and then the Giants. The Giants fans are not too fond of the thought process behind the coach, but he likes those inside defensive linemen. But I think they're fine there. I don't think they need any help.
Yeah, the Giants. If they take Derek Brown, I mean, because you're going to have to take him in the top 10 picks. I don't see Derek Brown falling out of the top 10. If not the best interior lineman in this draft class, he's top 3 interior lineman in this draft class. I don't see him falling out of the top 10. There were no real concerns coming out of the combine. He killed the combine in his drills.
They gave him a rating of 94.
Yeah, he's going to go top 10 to somebody, and I don't see the Giants wasting. What do they got, the 4th pick or something like that? I don't see the Giants wasting that pick there. Now they could trade back a bit if they find a partner in the 7 to 8 range, maybe 7 to 10, somebody in there that would trade with them, and they trade back for somebody that wants a QB, and somebody moves into number 4 there and takes a QB or something there, then I could see them moving back to take Derek Brown. But if they sit there at number 4, they're going to take probably one of those wide receivers.
Yeah.
A lot of people are having the mock drafts where all these wide receivers are falling down to 11, 12, and even further down. This is one of the deepest wide receiver classes that we've had in years. There's going to be a wide receiver taken in the top 10. My guess is it's going to be Jerry Jeudy at minimum, if not Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb. But I just don't see the Giants not taking a wide receiver at 4.
The talk has been that if they were to take Derek Brown, it would be just like an unconventional move. It wouldn't be it would just be something on that coach's radar because of the way he thinks, the way he likes to beef up that interior line. But you'll know more about this since you do follow the NFL. But between Jaguars and Panthers, I think they both had pretty abysmal rushing defense.
I think the Jaguars will take him at 9.
Yeah,
Jaguars,
that's where I think he'll go.
That's a good
is the
fit.
Jaguars.
That's a good fit because they're looking for an interior guy. They had the old Alabama guy, Marcel Darius. I know they're looking for help on the interior. They're pretty much tearing it down and rebuilding it. They've called it a loss. I mean, they traded off Jalen Ramsey. They're washing their hands of this little run they had, and are going to try to build it back up.
Every mock draft I've seen, I think I've seen him going to the Jaguars, and I think they had like the 29th rushing defense. Like it was something awful.
And Derek doesn't just help you on the rush defense too. The guy's a great pass rusher. So, and I know you and I talk about those plays all the time. Where I think it was him against, wasn't it LSU, or was it was Florida?
It was Florida right after the turnover.
Yeah, Derek Brown against Florida. He just had a. If you want to know what kind of player that Derek Brown is, you put on the Florida tape and watch that game. That's what kind of player
he's. I mean, we couldn't score in that game. We couldn't move the ball, and then you have that turnover. I think it was almost in the red zone. Like we were giving them the ball. It had to be inside the 40 minimum, and the very next play, not only I don't know if it was a sack or if it was a run or whatever, but strips it and recovers it. Huge momentum change. If we had any offense that game, if Bo Nix had been able to do anything that we were hoping he would do, it might have been a different game. But Derek Brown, man, like I mean, I've even seen where a bunch of people talk about his didn't have enough sacks or whatever. But man, I mean, every game he's double teamed. He's somebody that makes other players better just for being there and pulling a body over to himself. Plus, plenty of time knocking down passes. Great at stopping the run. Got a great inside spin move. He's quick on his feet to be so big. Right. I think I think like when they were doing his looking at him for the draft and pointing out his strengths and weaknesses, I think like one of the top weaknesses he had was he played a little too high. He didn't get low enough. Yeah. If that's where you're going for, the detriments of a guy, then it's pretty good. If that's something that you're having to look at is how high he plays.
I think I'm not reading this either, but I think I remember reading. I could be wrong with this, but I think his IQ wasn't too high either in football as far as talking to the teams.
Yeah, he had there were some questions.
Issues like he didn't know, like they showed a lot of plays, like what do you do if this happens, what do you do this? He never saw a lot of those schemes.
He's more instinctual though. He just kind of reacts in the play. He sees it in the play, but not necessarily can diagnose it on tape.
Which a lot of them can.
Big. Yeah, and that's something you can learn just after reps. And
I think Marlon Davidson had the same problem, was that he didn't have high IQ for.
Let's keep in mind these guys are throwing them sometimes some scenarios that don't even happen.
Yeah,
they just want to make sure they even get the concept of why. Like, okay, you say you switch. Why would you switch? You're like, I don't know, it just sounded right. Like, okay, thank you for saying that. You know what I mean? Because they're probably looking at you and say, we don't have no reason why you switch. We don't know either. We just want to see what your reaction would be.
We just want to see what you'd say.
Yeah, if you could at least put a body where it needs to be right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be covered. Right? So I get some of that, and that's why I said I feel bad for some of those quarterbacks in there because they throw some plays on them defensive schemes.
Goodness, yeah.
That's unreal.
Because one thing though from Auburn is we know about them as far as they're putting guys in the next level. They can put D linemen in the NFL. And we're talking again, their top 2 draft picks. I mean, maybe throw in Noah Igbenogany as a potential other second, third round guy. Out of those 3, their top 2 are D linemen. I mean, it's been going all the way back to 2010, 2011 with Nick Fairley.
Yeah.
It's just been consistently Auburn throwing D linemen in the NFL. So now we will move it on over to the Tennessee fan to talk about his guy, because there's really one. All right, come on Tennessee, what you got?
Even if they're reading every fact since last week.
I heard they got this up and comer Peyton Manning.
He sounds like.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to go back to when Tennessee actually put guys in the NFL.
I did like in the last podcast the bit about the decade of rebuilding at Tennessee. That was
one brick at a time.
Yeah,
one brick at a time, boys.
Apparently, it's 1 brick per year.
Half.
So 1 brick every half year, so 2 bricks.
That mud dries before y'all even stick the brick in there, man.
That's the whole point.
No, it's not.
Gotta make it stronger, baby.
That doesn't make any sense. If I can kick over the wall, it's not strong.
Look, Look, we understand how construction goes in like Tennessee and Alabama. They never finish that shit, okay?
That is true.
We'll finish it. I just don't know when. Juwan Jennings is like the only like.
Tell me, what about that tight end though too? You got to talk about him a little bit. He had a really good combine.
He had a great combine,
except for that 40.
God bless that 40.
Man, I could almost run faster than that. 4.9. Whoo! He was rolling.
When do people think a 4.9 is slow though?
Yeah, that's true.
If someone chase you at 4.9 now.
I do want to be fair. I know what a 4.9 is, and I could absolutely not run a 4.9.
I was a wide receiver in high school, and I think the best I clocked was a 5 flat ever.
Yeah. I think I can run a 4.9.
I really, because they've done this series on ESPN where they get people who tweet about their 40 times and get them onto a field and actually run them in the 40 and see how they can actually do.
Yeah, because when we did tryouts for ours this year, these kids would take off and they were clocking. I was like, my God, that must be 4.1. Joke around 4.52. I was like, what? I think he was flying. So I mean, it's faster than what you think, man.
Yep.
I could run a 4.9 for sure.
And how big is that? How big is he?
Juwan Jennings, he's 6'3".
Yeah, you can't run that.
Oh, wait, no, are we talking about the tight end?
Yeah, we're talking about the tight end around the 40.
Oh, I don't know how big.
No, I'm talking about you.
Oh, me? I'm 6'2".
No, I'm talking about running that.
I can run a 4.9 for sure.
I doubt that very seriously.
Hit me up, Espen. Throw me some money.
We ain't got to hit Espen now. We can go right out here right now.
I will line it up and we'll run it.
I mean,
I got a road that don't anybody ever drive down.
We do not have the facilities for that. Juwan Jennings, I see him going to Detroit. I think he'll go to Detroit. Matthew Stafford will have a blast with him. Juwan Jennings was known as a high ball type of wide receiver in college, so
that meshes well with Matt Stafford's big arm.
Juwan Jennings was a deep ball threat in college. He's going to be a deep ball threat. He gets drafted by Detroit.
Where do you see him fitting in on that depth chart?
I think slot to start off. Throw him in the slot, maybe third or fourth on the depth chart. Just kind of give him a few reps to kind of get his feet wet, and then he starts to break out and starts to improve over the couple seasons after that. He could be a 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Probably not a 1, but he could be a 2 for sure.
So that's where you see the Tennessee boy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about the tight end? I mean, we're stretching here at this point. Because Juwan Jennings, that's a 3rd, 4th round pick we're talking about, really.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll move on to the Alabama guys, and I'll cover, since we're done with all those Tennessee guys that we had to cover. It was just a ton of them. So I'll cover these Alabama boys real quick. I don't want to talk about everybody because, last week we really talked about Tua a lot, and I didn't want to get into him because, I think everybody at this point knows he's almost a lock for going to Miami unless there's a major surprise, and I still think that's his best fit. I think his best fit is in Miami because they've got the draft picks to put weapons around him and get him an offensive line to protect him, and they've got the resources over the next 2 years to build something around Tua. So I think that's his best fit if he sits out this first year. There's no reason for him to be on the field this season. There's no reason to put that risk out there. Outside of Tua, I think your other top Alabama guys, of course, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and Jerry Jeudy, and Jedrick Wills, even Xavier McKinney. I don't want to talk about everybody, so I'm really just going to pick out a couple of those guys. Jerry Jeudy, I think Jerry Jeudy's best fit in the NFL right now. Prior to today, I would have said the Arizona Cardinals because they need a big threat. But after today, with all the moves that have been made, now Cardinals have Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins. I think that his best fit is the New York Giants because they need a weapon. They need somebody along with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley on the offensive side. I think they have a decent defense, but they need a number one guy. When your number one receiver is Golden Tate and he missed half the season, you got to have a deep threat, and that's Jerry Jeudy because he's a threat to take the ball to the house every time he touches it. Killer route runner, somebody that could help Daniel Jones out and be somebody he can throw to in a pinch. So Jerry Jeudy, I like his fit with the New York Giants.
Giants or Jets?
Giants, not the Jets. Daniel Jones needs somebody to throw to. I mean, the Jets. I just don't think he would fit with the Jets too. I think the Giants are a little bit better fit, but I don't think he falls to the Jets either. I think that's also a.
I just feel like they go with an O-line guy to keep Barkley healthy.
That's a possibility.
Just like you said, there's so many receivers.
They just don't have an alpha. They don't have a guy that Daniel Jones can throw to on when a play breaks down, that he knows he can find and throw to, and has the chance of, if he throws him a 50-50 ball, he has a chance of getting it. There's not that guy on that roster right now. And it's the same with the Jets. I think they've got a little bit of a better quarterback in Sam Darnold, but I just don't think he falls there. I think the Giants are going to take a wide receiver. If they don't, then I think the next guy I want to talk about is Jedrick Wills. He's up there in the conversation for first offensive lineman off the board. You know, it's him and Wirfs and your guy from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jedrick Wills' best fit, somebody like the New York Jets or the Arizona Cardinals. They need somebody to help protect young quarterbacks, and he can be a franchise left tackle for the next several years. Coming out of Alabama, he was a right tackle, but people forget he was protecting for a left-handed quarterback, so he was still protecting the blind side. Everything on Alabama was flipped because Tua was left-handed, or at least he threw left. Jedrick Wills can come into a team and protect a young quarterback for years. I mean, even a place like Houston, protecting Deshaun Watson. Anybody that drafts a QB this year, I mean, Miami is also a good target if he falls to the second or third tackle off the board. If somebody decides to take Georgia's guy or the Iowa guy, then he could fall down back to Miami at 18. And so Miami at 18 could take Jedrick Wills. But I see him fitting in with a team like New York or Arizona where he can protect a young quarterback and they need a franchise guy. And I'll talk about just one more because I don't want to talk about just everybody. Because there's really a potential for Alabama to have 7 or even 8 first-rounders. And the last guy I'll mention is Xavier McKinney. Zay has got a lot of suitors because he's coming out now. A lot of people are talking about him over Grant Delpit for the best safety in this class. And we'll see. I don't know. I like Delpit too. But Xavier McKinney's best fit, I believe, is going to be in Dallas.
I think San Francisco.
San Francisco's a possibility. I just don't think he falls that far. But his best fit, honestly, is fitting. He's going to have to fit into a defense. They've got a lot of DBs. I mean, they have the best pass defense in the NFL this year. But
I feel like didn't they just sign a defensive back? I think Dallas. I think just signed somebody today.
Maybe they did. And if I missed that,
I know it was a defensive back. 31.
I'll check it real quick.
Yeah, pause. You're right though. The LSU got some people coming out this year, don't they? I forgot about their running back coming out.
Yep.
He could trump all of them.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Clavon Chason. They've got a center that's coming out. They've got Joe Burrow. They've got that wide receiver coming out. 2 DBs, Delpit and somebody else.
See, who's that J Jaws right there? Deal done. Jarvis. Is he a kicker?
Jarwin?
3-year extension to start.
That was a tight end. Yeah, that's their tight end,
I
yeah.
don't know who that guy is.
That was the guy that backed up, what's his name this year?
I mean, LSU's got a potential to put some people out. For sure.
No, I think what you're thinking about is the Dolphins signed Byron Jones, the former Cowboy.
That's, 31, right?
Yeah,
31? Yeah.
he's the former Cowboy.
So, yeah, they're definitely looking to get somebody to draft.
They're going to find somebody, a DB in the draft. And that to me, that makes it even more likely that Xavier McKinney falls into Dallas. I think it's a great fit. Xavier is another Alabama safety that likes to roam the field and can play in different positions. He's not quite as versatile as a Minka Fitzpatrick or somebody like that, but he's going to be a great safety in the league. He's a hard hitter, solid tackler.
And with that, I guess we're going to take a quick break.
Yo, this is Dylon from New South Pro Wrestling. If you know me, you know I can see, but if you want to know where we can be seen, you can hit us up on Facebook on our New South page. You can follow us on Instagram at New South Pro Wrestling, or you can watch our current product as well as previous shows on IWTV.live. Yes, that is IWTV.live, or you can find us on the Independent Wrestling Television app at IWTV.
Hey everyone, it's Zach, your host, and I'm here with my friend Dylan, and we're going to talk to you guys about where you can find all of our stuff and where you can support the podcast if you like.
He just told you, but my name is Dylan with SEC Fan Banter, and I'm here to tell you that you can find us on YouTube at SEC Fan Banter. That is all 3 letters of S, E, and C capitalized. Fan Banter. Only the F and the B capitalized. It's not that hard to find, baby. You can also find us on Podbean at the same go. SEC Fan Banter. The only 5 letters capitalized. You know the rest. You can also find us on patreon.com/SEC Fan Banter. And here's the catch for that. SEC F and B, not capitalized. That's kind of confusing, but you'll find it anyway, won't you? And for the new patrons, you are going to be entered into a drawing to be on a future episode, as well as get early access to our episodes that are uploaded.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan, for coming and helping. Back to the show.
Hey!
And welcome back to this week's episode of SEC Fan Banter. We're going to talk real quick about the SEC QBs and how we're ranking them this year. So who's going to be the best QB in the SEC in 2020? I think we're going to start with Dylan, because Dylan's got to actually leave us a little bit early today, so we're going to let him get his out of the way before he has to go. So Dylan, what are your thoughts on the 2020 QBs in the SEC?
Well, you'd asked us to rank them, from 14 to 1 or 1 to 14, who do you think is going to be best? 14, I have Ken Seals out of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's just not really, they haven't really been a good team in a while. I really don't see Ken Seals performing that well.
Yeah.
13, I have Jarrett Garantano.
Your boy from Tennessee.
I've never been a supporter of Garantano. I just don't like the way he plays. I really do hope he can turn it around and have a good productive season this season, but that'll be a miracle if it happens.
Well, a little bit of a spoiler. I've got your boy a little bit higher. I think he showed a little bit towards the end of last season, and so he's got some potential. So we'll see where he goes, though.
At 12, I have Sean Robinson from Missouri.
Yeah.
Not too bad of a quarterback. Got decent arm strength. I don't think that Missouri offense has a lot of power behind it or a lot of weapons behind it at all.
Sure.
Number 11, I have Miles Brennan from LSU. I haven't really seen a lot of him, but knowing the weapons he has at LSU and knowing how old Ogeron runs that team and runs that offense, I think he'll do really well.
That's his first season, junior. So he has a little bit of experience coming in. I've got him right in the same spot that you do. I think it's more a factor of the weapons that he lost coming into this year. Edwards-Helaire's gone, Jefferson's gone. He lost most of his offensive line, so he's coming in basically in a brand new offense, new passing game coordinator. The only consistency he's got is he does have a couple of wideouts that he's going to be able to throw to that I'm sure he's familiar with, but he's going to be breaking in basically a brand new offensive line, a new top wideout, a new running back, new passing game coordinator. He's probably got his work cut out for him in year one. We'll see how he does maybe as a senior.
Most definitely. At number 10, I have John Reese Plumley. I think it's Reese. It's either Reese or Rice.
Rice.
I think it's Rice. Okay.
Yeah, John Rice Plumley.
John Rice Plumley. That's a hard last name to say. Plumley. Out of Ole Miss. Number 9, I have Ryan Helinski out of South Carolina. He is a little low, but I really like his style of play. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think South Carolina coming out has a lot to prove. and I think they're going to be pretty well. But Helinski's just he's down at 9 for me. I think there's so many other talents in front of him.
Yeah.
Number 8, I have Mac Jones.
Ooh.
It's projected that he's supposed to be the starter. I saw Mac play. I saw him play in high school. I've seen some of that stuff. I've seen a lot of his clips. I think he has a lot of potential, but to me personally, I think 8 fits him right because we're not really sure what to expect from him. I know he played after Tua got hurt. He played a little bit. It was kind of in and out with different quarterbacks, and Mac played really well. He played well enough especially with the targets he had. Any quarterback with those people, those talented athletes on that team could do anything. Honestly, you could put Terry Bradshaw in a wheelchair and he would probably do phenomenal.
You sound like you're chewing on concrete over there when you're having to admit all the good athletes that Alabama possesses.
It feels like I'm chewing on concrete for sure. Number 7, I have Terry Wilson out of Kentucky. I like Terry Wilson, obviously. I sound more enthusiastic saying this about Terry Wilson than I did old Mac Jones. But I like Terry Wilson. I think he's that dual threat quarterback. He can throw, he can run. That'd be Kentucky, but that's Kentucky.
Yeah.
Who likes Kentucky? Number 6, I have Felipe Franks out of Arkansas. I like Felipe. Mainly because his name is fun to say, Felipe.
Felipe.
I like Felipe Franks.
He might listen to the podcast.
He might. I doubt it, but he might. Hey, Felipe, I like your name, the way it sounds. I also think you're a pretty talented quarterback.
I do too. I think he's a pretty talented quarterback. I've got him, I'll say this later when it comes out. I've got him a little bit lower on the list, further down, but it's not a knock against his talent. It's the fact that who the hell is he going to throw to?
That's a good point. I would assume a wide receiver or a tight end or a running back maybe sometimes.
Well, you would think that, but I don't know how many of those they've got up there in Arkansas.
I don't think they have a lot, but he'll find a way.
He can't throw to offensive linemen. That's about the best players they've got on their team is offensive linemen.
Well, you've seen some crazy things before.
That's true.
Come on, big boy, get up there and catch it. Number 5, I have Bo Nix at Auburn. I like Bo Nix. I saw him play in high school as I did with Mac. Bo Nix has it all. He has so much potential to be a star in college football. I kind of compare him a lot to how Joe Burrow was, and I think Bo Nix he could possibly be better if he had the right weapons and the right protection around him. But he's number 5. He has the big hot top 5 spot. Number 4, I have Kyle Trask out of Florida. He's okay. I like him. He's okay.
Coming from the Tennessee fan.
He's okay.
How did you like Kyle Trask last season?
Not a fan. Not a fan. But, I like Kyle Trask. I think he's a good talent. Just don't like the college he plays for. Number 3, I have Kellen Mond from Mond. That's the it. Kellen Mond out of Texas A&M. He's okay. I like him. I think he's good. Number 2, I have KJ Costello from Mississippi State.
All right.
Hail State.
I
guess.
It was. I can't knock on Mississippi State. I almost went there for college.
Well, I almost went there for college too.
They offered me a full ride.
They didn't offer me jack shit.
It's hard for me to turn down a full ride, but
they didn't offer me jack shit. Anyways, I wanted to go there, But Hail State, one of my friends is a former cheerleader there,
nice.
So well, she's not there anymore. Obviously, former was the key word before that.
Right. Yeah, keywords are important.
But Hail State, shout out, Kat, I guess. Yeah, hey girl.
There you go. Shout out.
I like KJ Costello. I think he has a good potential.
Yeah, I team up with Mike Leach, and he's the transfer QB whisperer. Him and Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I don't know what old Mike Leach does. I don't know what he does to get them quarterbacks to be working. But hey, you go, man.
He took the stash, old Gardner Minshew. He was that was a throwaway, going to be an Alabama transfer and sit on the depth chart probably at 4th at Alabama. Ends up throwing for 4,000 yards and 30-plus touchdowns for Wazoo and Mike Leach.
Look at him now.
Now he's
starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He's probably going to be the starting QB this year unless they surprise everyone and take a QB, which is doubtful. They've got so many other
It would make them look like a dumbass, which
Well,
is
they
kind
are.
of what I hope they do because
Well,
go
they-
Titans.
Well, they drafted Blake Bortles, so I mean,
You know what? That's fair. Number one, I don't think it's a surprise. There's only one team missing out of this whole thing. Number one is also Jarrett Garantano. At Tennessee.
of course.
I'm joking.
Well, if you take the bipolarness of the way he plays, yes, he could be 1 and 14.
He was 13.
Well,
Son of a bitch.
I'm saying on his worst days, he could play worse than the Vandy QB.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what? 13 and 14, they're one number. They're tied. They're both just big. Number one is Jamie Newman out of Georgia. That kid is good. I think he's going to overperform. I think he's going to blow out his expectations and really kill it. I think he has a lot of, lost the word, weapons.
Weapons.
He has a lot of weapons. Not
That is true.
like bang bang pow pow weapons, but like, hey, catch this football weapon. I think he's going to do well. I hope he plays like shit against Tennessee, but I think he's going to do well. You're welcome. Play like shit against Tennessee. Please.
You heard it here, Jamie Newman, number 1 QB in the SEC, and play like shit against Tennessee.
Yeah, man. Like, I'll cheer for you.
See, the only thing I got, one, he's unproven to me. You play at Wake Forest. I don't care what you do at Wake Forest. You're unproven.
I have a Wake Forest shirt.
We covered this last week, or last episode.
I have a shirt. It's long sleeve
Yes, I
and
know where
black
yeah.
with the logo in the middle.
Really? You got a Wake Forest? It would be interesting if there was a Wake Forest shirt without the logo on it, because then how would it be a Wake Forest shirt?
I don't know.
That's some dead air I'm going to leave in.
You got me there.
We have to bid a quick farewell to Mr. Dillon. He's not going to be able to join us for the second half of this, so it's just going to be me and Clint and Blake for this last little part we're doing today. The SEC quarterback situation. A lot of people are talking about it because on paper it looks like it's potentially a down year in the SEC for quarterbacks, but I want us to talk about our top QBs in the SEC. Clint, what do you think? Top QBs in the SEC for 2020. Who are your guys?
I'm definitely going to go with KJ,
That's a good one.
just because of where he's transferring from. He's got a good program he comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. And pairing him with Mike Leach, who seems to be a quarterback guru, is going to be a good pairing, I think. And Mike Leach is good with training up. He's had a lot of success with transfer quarterbacks. It's him and Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma. Just they click with transfer guys. So
And I'm going to have to go with Jamie Newman on 2.
I was about to say I heard some
The only
talk
reason
about
I'm
that
going
Jamie
with
Newman cat.
only reason I'm going to go with that is like this, because we got Pickens, who's in his second year, right? So he's learned a little. He did pretty good for being a freshman last year. I know he made a last minute decision, committed to you guys at Auburn, which I think could have changed a lot of dynamic for y'all with Bo Nix to have him as a threat back there. But I think he's got a year to mature, and I just feel like Jamie's going to be way more mobile than Fromm. The last quarterback I feel like we've seen like that was DJ back in the day for Georgia. So I feel like we're going to have. So I just feel like if he can get mobile in the backfield, we'll have some good receivers to be able to get open.
yeah,
That's what I'm getting at. Because Fromm, he's a pocket passer. He gets out of level. He had a little bit of wheels on him, right? But people weren't expecting it. I think that's why he got as far as he did. They didn't contain as much on the outside when Fromm started running, because the safety can run him down.
right.
Now Newman brings a whole new dynamic
Yeah.
to the run game and everything. Now we haven't seen him play. When he played at Wake Forest, it's Wake Forest, right? So let's see what he's like in the SEC. But I also feel like he's a mature adult. If this guy was a sophomore transferred in, I'd be a little worried. He's a senior. He studies the game, and I'm pretty sure he went through a little bit of scrutiny with the Georgia staff to kind of see where he was at, physically and mentally. And by this point, he's had a chance to get. I honestly think this break, if they break, real comes off the tangent here. If they don't get in the season as quick because of what's going on with the corona,
Right.
I think it could do a lot of good for a lot of people, even like in Alabama. Y'all's freshman quarterback coming in.
Bryce Young.
It gives them more time to get on that playbook and actually learn it.
That's true, and that's a good point, because Bryce Young is an early enrollee too. He wasn't just a standard guy who hasn't even gotten on campus yet. Because there's still, people forget, a lot of these guys, these freshmen incoming, haven't gotten onto campus yet, because a lot of them won't come till after summer.
Yeah.
Or their first time in the program will be in fall camp. And that's not true for Georgia's new guy, Alabama's new guy, because Alabama's guy, Bryce Young, is an early enrollee. He's already on campus, hasn't been able to practice yet, thanks Corona. But
you got the playbook.
yeah, he's got the playbook. To your point, yes.
And there's plenty, and most of these kids are going to go back home and throw at their high school, so they have time to be able to still throw the ball accurately where they need it to go, right?
Right.
I feel like I'm going with Trask at 3, man.
I like that. Pick.
Just because he came, and to be fair, I'm gonna go offbeat with this one just because I like this kid, because he's just tough. If we could get him some weapons, is that John Plumlee from Ole Miss.
John Rice Plumlee.
I think he should transfer. To be fair, I think John Plumlee should get him. He's not now. He's got the train down there now with him.
Lane train.
They ain't gonna let nobody go. But I feel like I'm gonna go off a little bit on this too, right? I feel like if Lane can get that squad in the next couple of years back together with recruiting and get a team in there, Tennessee, like we're joking around with them, they are mounting their way back to a little bit more success, right?
Yeah.
They were a joke at the beginning of the year last year, but you notice everybody shut up because all you see on ESPN, you'd be like, I remember looking at it and being like, damn, did Tennessee win again? I remember being like that. Or I would even go like this. Think about it. The score was only 28-31 against so-and-so. I'm like, what? That to me is like they're coming, So if you can get them back at it, because we all want our teams to rule. I get it. Like we want to be number one. But let's make it fun, man, like it used to be, right? Like all the teams came out. Because now we can just, like, last 2 years we can predict who's going where.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody saw LSU doing what they were doing, but it's because we didn't pay enough attention. I really feel like even when LSU signed that coach, everybody thought that was just a joke.
Right.
You're like, oh, he makes voice goes with it. It was kind of like, oh, here we go with this. Little do we know the guy's got a hellified like football IQ too. You know what I mean? So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and USC missed on him.
He also knows to do, which is a lot like someone like hell. I'm gonna even give it to Kirby sometimes too. His defense is just being a coach. But I think that's what he's doing this year. But like, even your coach this year, let the plays be called differently. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he does the best. He just puts the best people around him, and he doesn't. Coach O just sits there. He just goes in there and fires them up. And yells at him, but he's not calling the plays in there. Well, first nobody could understand what he was saying, I'm sure. But I mean, he's not.
A quick side of that, my favorite thing that
I know what you're going to say.
Coach O has done is that Alabama. I guess it was the pregame speech. Couldn't even understand half of what he said, but I just remember when he's like, he's talking to him, roll tide, what? You.
Yeah,
man.
I like his public announcement of how to stay from the coronavirus today.
I know, that was like,
did you hear that?
It was huge news.
It was like, cough. That's all we got. Cough into your elbow. I think everybody, I was like, my elbow. Okay, coach, I get it. All right.
But I thought there was something else going on with him, and it was just a PSA. But it was
because it was so funny.
But yeah, there's my, and I'm trying to remember. I think Kentucky's got a little quarterback there.
Yeah, well, they got a guy coming back in Terry Wilson.
Yeah,
and it's because he missed most of the season due to injury, and they had their that Lynn Bowden Jr. who took over. He was a wide receiver playing quarterback, and it was an interesting little gimmick type of offense they ran, which was very successful. Though I don't want to take anything away from that by calling it a gimmick. Just a great ending to the season for Kentucky, and he's flying under the radar. Terry Wilson is, but it's going to be a question mark as whether he's even the quarterback because they've got the transfer from Auburn. If he gets the waiver,
Gatewood. Yeah, I was like, how can I remember his name?
Yeah, because
he went to Kentucky.
He did.
I thought it was Memphis or like a smaller college.
No.
Transfer to Kentucky. If he gets his waiver, he's going to compete. He will definitely compete with Terry Wilson for that starting job in Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's a long shot that he gets the waiver because they're still going under, for now, they're going under the old transfer rules because the new ones that they just put in place haven't taken effect yet. So we don't know if
things could change too, though, depending on how the season goes with the virus and stuff too, I mean, I doubt it.
We have no idea how the virus is going to affect things, but just strictly going off what we know, I don't know if he's going to get the waiver. To me, it's about 50-50 at this point whether the NCAA is going to grant your request or not.
If I was Gatewood, I would wait this year out. If they do it, if they don't grant it, wait this year out and take that 1 year transfer over to Florida, come after Trask and compete.
That's going to be a question mark too, because it's even a question of whether, which is weird because I think Trask is one of the best QBs in the SEC. It's a question about whether he even wins the starting job because they've got that former 5-star QB Emory Jones, I think he's going to be a redshirt sophomore this year, who's fighting to replace him as well.
I do understand that, but I think Florida's not quite there yet. I think they're 1 year away, and I think he knows that could be the puzzle for the year. So maybe put Trask in here, get your boy. He's got a decent head. I don't think he plans on winning the SEC next year. I think he plans on being in competition. Florida does. I could be wrong, but I know Mullen's 1 good year away from. Then you got that quarterback for 2 more years, and you got a lot of these because he's got a good recruit class coming this year. Like I said, Florida's going to be the one that sneaks back up on everybody next 2 years.
As much as people have been talking bad about the SEC QB situation for this year, it's really not as bad as people are making it out to be. Because especially after Costello transferred in, that helped a lot. Even these guys down here, I'm just looking at all these names, and you've got, Felipe Franks and even Jarrett Garantano, who's a big name guy, but Garantano at Tennessee, he flashed some decent skills at the end of the season. To your point, as you were
I just
saying.
wondered why he chose Mississippi State.
Because Mike Leach is that QB whisperer. I think he was following Mike Leach.
I think everybody's trying to be like Burrow, but you're not going to do that. I don't think.
Well, and even before Burrow, it was like I said at Oklahoma, it was back-to-back transfer QBs won the Heisman. Baker Mayfield, then Kyler Murray, and then Jalen Hurts was a finalist this year. 3 transfer QBs in a row made it to New York for the Heisman ceremony out of Oklahoma, and then Joe Burrow won it as a transfer from Ohio State at LSU.
Yeah.
Granted, you're right about the QB because I think Justin Fields will be one of the best QBs come out this year.
I haven't seen the odds yet, and I know I'm the odds guy, the Vegas odds guy. I haven't seen the odds yet, but I want to say that Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, I think, are both neck and neck in Vegas for favorites to win the Heisman next year.
I can't wait for this NFL draft, this year's quarterback draft to come out, though.
I just want to see what Trevor Lawrence does in the NFL. That kid's going to be good.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think he'll probably end up going like a Carolina or something or somewhere unexpected.
Yeah.
I would almost for him to be like, I'd pull an Eli Manning. I'd just be like, all right. You're going to know who's tanking this year.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be on purpose. But you're going to know who's kind of like, oh, crap. Like, it just sucks, man.
A team to watch out for that might not take a QB this year, who might need one, is the Chargers. Because I think they're going to let Phillip Rivers go. Phillip Rivers has already moved out. He lived in San Diego because he.
But I can't see them not taking Justin Herbert, though.
I don't know if they. I think it's a possibility they swerve people. I personally think they'll take a QB, but I think they're a team to watch out for. If they don't take a QB this year, then they're tanking next year for Trevor Lawrence.
And it might be good to watch and see who the Buccaneers take. If they take Brady, then it could be something. We don't know who's going to get the top pick if we're just talking shit.
Yeah.
Now. But I'm sure Ohio he'll come out. Fields will come out next year. Yeah. I'm sure.
It's going to be Lawrence and Fields, and then honestly after that we're just going to have to see. I think Costello is going to be a senior. He'll have
Trevor go to Steelers.
I would love that. I love that. Oh man, I love
Trevor. Would they make him cut his hair?
Oh no, they wouldn't.
He said, "Oh no, they wouldn't." They would braid it for him, wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
We come in here, Pittsburgh hats like fake hair coming down.
Oh man, I would buy a wig. I carry short hair, but I would wear a Trevor Lawrence wig as a Steelers fan.
You think he'll be good this year again?
Trevor Lawrence? I think he has a chip on his shoulder, wants to prove that last year was a bit of a fluke. Although he had a great year. I mean no disrespect, he had a great year. It was not as good as his freshman season by any means, because his interceptions went up exponentially. But he's got a little bit to prove. He's got to solidify that number 1 QB hype, I think. I think he still's the number 1 QB. I don't think Fields is able to, unless Fields just comes out and pulls a Joe Burrow again. No disrespect to Fields. He had an amazing year last year. He was in New York for the Heisman ceremony. But
God, we let him go for Fromm.
Georgia fan.
Because he last year could have made that a little bit more dynamic. He had we hadn't I'm gonna go back to it for Fromm. Going back to him again, right? This is his area. And now I say Fromm's got wheels, but only reason he has wheels around 20 yards down because nobody even we're not trying to stop Fromm from running.
Yeah.
He just pocket broke. There's a gap. He's gonna run. He takes off. He's not. It is not. Fields has the dynamics to where you could have. And I think if Fields would have stayed there, I think people like Holyfield and them might have not went in the draft so early. I think they saw that coming. Like, oh, no, I'm not going to, because we're going to get beat up this whole year handing the ball off. We don't have any receivers.
So for me, going back to the top SEC QBs this year, because I want to mention all these guys. I'll quickly go through just my whole list of where I rank everybody through the top 14. And for right now, there's still a little bit of a quarterback competition going on at Missouri and at Vanderbilt. There's even one at Alabama. There's a bit of a question mark there. For Missouri and Vanderbilt, so I'm just going to put them in there as just the Missouri QB and the Vandy QB. But for Alabama, I'm going to go under the assumption that Mac Jones wins the start, at least for the beginning of the year. So for me, the top QBs in the SEC next year in this order going to be KJ Costello, Mississippi State, Mac Jones, Alabama at 2, Kyle Trask at 3, Kellen Mond at Texas A&M. A lot of people are sleeping on him. That's a senior. He's had the starting job for 3 or 4 seasons now. He's going to be good. Jamie Newman at Georgia. I have him a little bit lower than you just because he's unproven. I don't know what he's going to do. He's coming from Wake Forest. I think he brings a new dynamic to that Georgia offense. By the end of the season, he might be higher on my list. But for now, I've got him at 5. And then one that a lot of people are forgetting too, Ryan Helinski. I've got him at 6 out of South Carolina. He's got a cannon for an arm. Of course, everybody knows the story about his brother, the former Washington State QB. Took his own life while Mike Leach was there. It's a tragic story. Last year was his freshman season, and he had a great season for what it was at South Carolina. One of the top QBs in the SEC. Flew a little bit under the radar, especially in the late half of the season because South Carolina just kind of started falling apart. But Helinski is going to be a name that we need to watch out for this season, sophomore year. Bo Nix at 7 for Auburn. He's another one that can move up the list. But Bo Nix at Auburn, he had a decent freshman year. He flashed some greatness. It was except in the Oregon game, it was in the late moments where he just kind of disappeared. The Oregon game, I thought he was going. That was when I really thought he was the guy.
I think that has everything to do with coaching. That has everything to do with coaching, not to have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that has everything to do with your. I feel like, well, my personal opinion, I feel like your coach babied him. I feel like he was under so much scrutiny, like this guy has to be the one. Just when he was transferring, that he did not want to make him mad, or make the press think I'm second guessing my choice here.
Right.
Yeah.
Because every time he's like, just kind of you got it and being good thinking. You should have had him by the damn ear, yelling at him like, "What are you doing? That was a stupid play." Which you expect out of a freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
You cannot expect that, right? I think they're too much living the dream of like his dad.
There's that.
Let's just face
the
it.
legacy.
Now, real quick, do I think that's probably one of the top, hardest working quarterbacks right now in the offseason? Absolutely, I think so. Absolutely, because he's probably getting a new offensive playbook, which he is. He's probably excited. And I think he realizes now, looking back on that season, like, okay, I still got some hype. I'm still Bo Nix, either way to say it.
Yeah.
Right, so let's do it. But I think he had a huge next level gap from high school there.
Yeah.
Not losing a game, maybe getting sacked like one time your whole high school career. You get there like, oh crap.
The Alabama game is going to give him a lot of confidence. I think he's going to build on that this season. He had an amazing Alabama game. Aside from, the completion percentage was question mark. It was around 50%, but he hit the guys when he needed to, and he won the game.
Yeah, we got a problem over there with y'all too. That Fromm brother over there tied in with y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Bo Nix that I wasn't. Yeah, I get what you're saying about the whole baby thing. I am glad though that he didn't pull which I think had to do with his dad and had to do with the hype around him, was that he didn't pull him when he wasn't performing quite as well. That game he's played, that Malzahn's played in the past. If someone's not doing good, it's take him out and throw somebody in there. It's not necessarily good, a little more consistent.
Right.
So I think that
He didn't have nobody.
Yeah, well, that's one. But I think that helps in development.
Yeah.
At least he kept him on the field. It sucks that now we're losing that defense that we had. That changes so much. You got to be this much better because you're not returning that insane defense that you had.
Yeah, there's no safety net.
So you're going to have to not only perform, of course, better than you did last year, but even better than you would hope for him to perform his second year in.
One good thing for Auburn, though, I'm sorry to interrupt, but one good thing coming for Bo Nix and Auburn this year that they didn't have last year is they got that wide receiver recruit from, I think, the state of Alabama, went to Auburn, or they had a big wide receiver recruit that's coming this year, and it was something that he missed last year. They didn't have a big target for him to throw to, not a number one alpha guy at wide receiver. I mean, in Alabama, you had the stable. I call them the four horsemen. You had that. I mean, even Georgia had Pickens, who, I mean, he's a freshman, but he's going to be an alpha guy. And, I mean, a lot of the SEC schools had an alpha wide receiver, and Auburn really never had that the whole season.
Well, I'm hoping the run game, because that run game was so inconsistent. I mean, you had Boobie Whitlow. He got injured, and so he was playing some weeks, and he wasn't playing some weeks, and it's like he performed, like some games he's just all out, and then the next game
I think he saw how the season was transpiring and probably wanted to contain himself. Because if you remember, I sent you a text at the beginning of the football season when they named Bo Nix a starter. And I was like, remember I was ranting. I was like, I can't believe this coach is using him as, that's either they hate me or love me right here.
Yeah.
Remember I kept telling you that. I said, they're throwing this poor boy to the wolves on hate me or love me. I looked at it, my theory on Bo Nix coming in was, your dad played quarterback here. There's a big hype behind you. But to me, I felt more like your coach was using it as a career saver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I put this
Or ride
freshman
or die
in, yeah, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
they said you in. He's like, I'm all in, and it worked. You know, because people saw the glimpse. Game one, y'all got everything. They see it, and I think people started realizing, all right, this has got potential. And now that he gave up the offensive reign, so to say, now I think people are like, okay, maybe he's adapting, but we got.
This could be a big test year for Auburn. I think if they go back to 8-4, 7-5, if they don't win 10 games this year, Malzahn's out.
Well, I'm hoping that our run game will be a little better because I hope what's his name was it No, I think
you're talking about that new recruit.
No. That's Tank's. That's Tank, man.
Tank.
Yeah, because that's why what's his name left.
Booby.
But that other guy, the guy that I thought was our best run back all year, was it DJ Williams?
Are you talking about Schwartz?
No, he's good. He's good too.
Because he didn't really play running back per se.
No, but he
was the best running game.
That was a little tiny guy, was fast, right?
Yeah, he's extremely.
He killed that
fast.
sweet.
Probably could hang with Henry Ruggs type speed.
But no, that run. I think it was DJ Williams.
Maybe running back. Got Cam Martin. According to this, Malik Miller is a redshirt junior and will be a senior.
Is he?
Coming up.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, I knew he was. Yeah,
Maybe
we go. Malik, 32.
Maybe they were talking about his fourth year was this upcoming.
So here's the current projected. Now this doesn't include Tank because I don't think Tank's on campus yet. But you got Cam Martin, Malik Miller, Sean Shivers, and DJ Williams.
DJ Williams, I thought.
He's a freshman though.
Yeah, DJ was a freshman.
Yeah, I thought DJ Williams played the most consistent.
That's Sean Shivers. Yeah, he had a good one.
And they kind of Auburn when they don't have a Kerryon Johnson type guy, or you had a Kerryon Johnson like alpha type running back. They employ running back by committee because Auburn plays 4 or 5 guys. Running back.
It was
consistently because I remember. I mean, I know Shivers had a lot of tread, and Martin got a lot of carries, and Williams got a lot of carries. Boone got a lot of carries, and I mean, and then we're talking about your boy Malik Miller. He came in on some clean.
Which he's just like I was looking that up earlier. He has been plagued by injuries. Like he was another one that just he's been like a special down guy, like third short. He's not a small boy, but
he's a redshirt junior, so he's still got 2 years of
this is from last year, so
he'll be a senior this year.
He'll be a senior this year.
Yeah, I think I saw earlier was them saying that he's stuck it out, and this is his 4th year. Might have been what I read earlier.
He may have gotten a medical red shirt. That may be why he's got another year.
But
so finishing up, I guess I'll go back and talk about and finish up my last half of the top 14 SEC QBs.
Just run through your first. No explanation. Just what the first were again.
Yeah. So at this point, we got Costello at 1, Mac Jones at 2, Kyle Trask at 3, Kellen Mond 4, Jamie Newman 5, Ryan Helinski at 6, Bo Nix 7, and then I've got at number 8 a guy we've already mentioned, and he may not even be the starter, but I think even if he gets beat out, his replacement would go right around here, and that's Terry Wilson from Kentucky. And I think that if Joey Gatewood does get a waiver and wins out the starting job, that Gatewood will plug right in here at grade as well. I think Joey Gatewood plugs in right. I think him and Wilson, they have a different skill set. Wilson's more of a runner, a little bit of a scrambler. He's not as accurate in the passing game. Gatewood's a bigger guy, kind of a Cam Newton type body, but he's better in the passing game, but he still has that running capability.
Yeah.
So I think he can plug in right there at number 8 as well. John Rice Plumlee at 9. We mentioned him a little bit out of Ole Miss. With him and Lane Kiffin, that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. John Rice Plumlee and Lane Kiffin. At 10, I've got Jarrett Garantano from Tennessee. That is a QB that underrated his entire career, and I think this is the year he finally takes a step forward. Last year, he was in the bottom half, probably in the bottom 3 of SEC QBs, but he flashed some good traits towards the end of the season when Tennessee was starting to win some games. So Jarrett Garantano at number 10. I got Miles Brennan from LSU at number 11. I know this is going to be a big controversy, but he's unproven. He's coming in under a new passing game coordinator, a completely new offense, essentially. He's bringing back, I think they're bringing back only 2 wide receivers. He loses his running back. He loses almost his entire offensive line. I don't see
the other of who you're replacing.
Exactly. And walking in to replace probably definitely the greatest LSU quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
In 2 seasons. But probably one of the best quarterbacks to grace the sidelines of a college in college football history. I mean, it was definitely, we talked about this last time, how Joe Burrow's 2019 season is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college football season of all time. I mean, it's up there with 2010 Cam Newton.
Which you hear all the time, the sneaky fast quarterbacks.
Right.
That he was. Joe Burrow is one of the. I don't follow the NFL enough to know how he's going to do in the NFL. But as far as college quarterbacks go, that is the most dangerous type of quarterback. Anytime that he's passing on you, you open up your defense for pass coverage.
Yeah.
Like he's got a minimum of a 10-yard run just because he's like. I mean, he's not gonna outrun a DB or anything. Some linebackers, some linemen, you give him 7 yards in between them, and he's got you a first down then. I mean, the worst play I saw all year from Auburn was the touchdown that put the dagger in the Auburn LSU game was when they were in the red zone, and to go up, and we had a linebacker just drop back into coverage, and as soon as he dropped back into coverage too far, I was like, well, that's touchdown. Joe Burrow's going to run right up the gut. They were on like the 5-yard line, and they spread out the defense. And then the one guy that we had that could have spied the QB drops back in the zone, and you just knew Burrow's going to walk in. 5 yards is nothing to that guy.
Yeah, and it came down to it when it came to crunch time, and they needed to run the clock down against Alabama. Because they didn't want to give Alabama the ball back. Because they knew Alabama was going to score with them. When it came down to it and they needed first downs, Joe Burrow got it with his legs. And to your point, yeah, he was a very dangerous quarterback for LSU. And it was just, he was so sneaky in the running game, like you said. Because he would take off and you would not expect him to get 10, 5, 10, 15 yards. But he would.
Well, and every week, like, you've seen him run that. Like, week 1, you see him run, like, bust out a run, you're like, dang, that was pretty quick. And then week 2, you forget just how he is and how he plays. You think, oh no, that's a pro-style quarterback right there.
Yeah.
He's not going to run it. And then you bust out another run, you're like, geez, what's this guy's 40 time? Like, what is he? How is he so fast?
And he's powerful too, because I remember, I think it was in the Auburn game, I remember him just taking a huge hit on the sidelines. You were like, oh, that guy's going to be out for a few plays. No, got right back in there and throws darts on the next several plays. Just insane. But Miles Brennan, you have your work cut out for you, son, because that's some shoes to fill. As much as Mac Jones and Bryce Young, if he wins the job, have to replace Tua, I can't imagine what it's like for Miles Brennan.
What year is Brennan?
He's a junior.
Okay, that's not as bad as coming in freshman, sophomore, but still.
Yeah, it would have been different, even more different if he were, like you said, freshman, sophomore, but still.
I mean, still following that, man. That's a tough shooter because not only do you have to just be a good quarterback, you have to try to live up to what people would hope for the next quarterback after Joe Burrow. That's just a hard guy to follow.
Huge shoes to fill. It's like when Auburn tried to replace Cam Newton.
I mean,
who follows that up?
But yeah, just a stroke of luck. Cam Newton, he was a phenom. Like he was, you could have put him on any team that had a decent defense, and I think he might have taken them to the national championship. He was an insane, so Nick Marshall didn't do too bad following up. So it can be done, but it's just hard. If you have one bad game, people are going to be like, well, never going to have another Joe Burrow. So
they're not going to never have another Joe Burrow, at least not for another 20, 30, 40 years.
No,
maybe.
But I think that'll take the biggest thing to overcome is the shoes that you're trying to fill.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Brennan does. I've got him low on the list for right now, and it may turn to a case of me putting my foot in my mouth at the end of the year. But I just don't see him stepping in being immediately a top-tier SEC QB.
No, I don't think there'll be a foot-in-your-mouth thing. I think that's just too hard to follow up, man.
So, and just ending up the last three guys, I've got Felipe Franks at Arkansas, who still is no slouch. I mean, he had a great start to the year at Florida. He has to transfer out and go to Arkansas. There's not a lot going on in Arkansas, and that's the big reason why I think he's down there. I don't think it's his talent that keeps him down at number 12 in the SEC. I think it's the lack of talent around him that keeps him down.
Well, that's what you'll see. My rankings, as you'll call it, I've just put together, is most of my lower QBs are not going to necessarily be their talent level, but how good they are. Are they good enough to pull up the talent around them?
Right. And then the last two guys, real quickly, I'll go through. I've got the Missouri quarterback at 13 and the Vanderbilt quarterback at 14. There's your top QBs for me for the SEC, and Blake, I'll let you take over and share with us where you think everybody's going to be.
Oh, this is going to be a shoddy list because I have not researched any of the other SEC QBs. I'll have my one that I know a little bit about, and I'm going to play a little favoritism with for my rankings.
Yeah,
but
that's the point.
If I had to give you just an off-the-cuff rankings list, I'll start from the bottom, and I'm going to go the same as you. 14 is going to be whoever the hell Vanderbilt's quarterback is going to be. I had it at Danny Clark. I don't remember why I had him there, but whoever it is, you can tell it's not going to be that great because we don't even know who it is.
Kumar Rocker. Got me with that one, man.
Next, 13, I've got that Robinson kid from Missouri. I don't think there's going to be anything special out there. 12, I don't know if you had him at 12 too, but Felipe Franks, again, with just trying to pull up talent around you. That's no shot at Franks. Just there's a difference in being a good QB and being a good enough QB to pull up no talent around you. I know that y'all have. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll throw the LSU guy, the Brennan kid, next, just because I feel like there's going to be so much pressure trying to live up to Joe Burrow. I think that's going to just maybe he's got more mental fortitude than I think he does, but I think that his biggest obstacle in next season is going to be, oh my gosh, I'm Joe Burrow's replacement.
Right.
What do I do from here on out? Next, I'm going to go just because the joke has been made of Tennessee's rebuilding. I feel like there's always. I understand Pruitt's a better coach than
Dooley, Derek Dooley,
Dooley or the brick builder.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I threw it back a couple of years because
Butch
Jones, who's
Jones, man,
he's still delivering the coffee to Nick Saban.
One of the worst coaches. I meant to mention this earlier. One of the worst coaches ever because who was that running back that came out for the Saints and just
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara, man, and that dude got nothing.
Yeah, and I mentioned that. You weren't here for the last one, but last week I mentioned that because Dylan was trying to take credit for Alvin Kamara, and I was like, you can't take credit for Alvin Kamara. What did he do with Tennessee?
I was about to say, Kamara was, it was insane. That was the huge talk is how well he was doing at the Saints. Right. But it's all, again, I don't even follow the NFL, but I heard about him doing well at the Saints, and it was all Butch Jones did a terrible job of actually making him an available or a resource for the offense. Like,
right.
So I'm going to go ahead and throw the next on that list.
Garantano.
Garantano. I don't think he's going to be anything high. Next, I think I'll go Terry Wilson or Joey Gatewood, just depending on who it is. I don't have as much faith as maybe everybody else does in that. Just because I think when I think Kentucky and I think Kentucky football, I don't think good any players. You want to know the one Kentucky quarterback that comes to mind for Kentucky is Hefty Lefty. What is his name? Man, love that guy.
He just passed away too.
He passed away?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Finally, Lorenzen.
Yes.
Jared
Lorenzen.
And yes, he passed away last year.
Dang. Well, he
July the 3rd.
weighed about 500 pounds. You seen him playing in the XFL or whatever it was? He was out there like the size of a D lineman playing quarterback.
Yeah,
man.
they had him. He played in the Arena Football League for a while.
That's what it was.
And
That was the Arena
He played in
Football
that
League.
lime green jersey.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the team, but I think he weighed in at that time at like almost 500 pounds.
Oh, he was insane. Like
ridiculous.
it was like somebody went on like the NCAA football game and created a quarterback and just put the weight as high as it would go. It was insane.
I'm looking here. Aside from the Hefty Lefty, he was also known as the Pillsbury Throw Boy. So
Talk about top nicknames, man. Hefty Lefty, Pillsbury Throw Boy. That's awesome. Which he wasn't. He was not small, but he was not that big in Kentucky. But
he was not. He did weigh. I think when he was playing in the NFL, he weighed in at 285, and that was light for him. So 285 at QB. That's pretty big. And he was a tall guy. He was 6'4".
He was 285 at QB. Man, maybe he was bigger than I thought. Maybe he just carried it a little better.
Yeah, he definitely was a big guy. But rest in peace, Jared.
I love
he was great.
The fact that he stands out like
Yeah.
somebody who gets the nickname Hefty Lefty and Pillsbury Throw Boy. The fact that he stands out, that says a lot at Kentucky.
Because if I remember right, he was the QB for that. He was the QB for Kentucky when they almost beat LSU, but LSU had like the miraculous Hail Mary.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, I think he was the QB for that game, if I'm not mistaken. He was the QB for Kentucky that almost beat LSU.
Yeah.
But Jared Lorenzen, that's the Kentucky QB.
So Terry Wilson or Joe Gatewood, whoever it may be, and that's just that's more of a shot at Kentucky football in general. Than I know they've been better in the past few years, especially with that running back they had who's gone. Who was that kid?
He's with the Steelers now. It was
that kid was doing. That kid carried that team.
him and that defense. They had an amazing.
Yeah, that defense.
They had that really good linebacker who's Benny Snell.
Yeah,
Snell was the running back, and because you had a couple years ago, you had Bud Dupree, who is also with the Steelers now, who's a former Kentucky Wildcat. But this year, the big one, he went drafted number 7 overall to the Jaguars, was Josh Allen.
Oh yeah.
Great linebacker for Kentucky, but they took a step back this year. But last week I had them ranked pretty highly, but it's again going to be on the. I actually had them in my top 25. I think I had them at number 22 if I remember right. But they were. It was more on the back of that defense and the fact that Terry Wilson returning is going to give a bit of a boost to the offense, and it won't be as gimmicky. So I've got a little bit of respect for Kentucky. I've been notoriously down on them in the past. I didn't have a lot of hope for them this season, and the injury bug bit them a bit, but they still underperformed to what the expectations were.
Which again, the reason for my pick there, I think, is more overshadowing by the fact that when you think Kentucky, you think Kentucky basketball,
right.
And you don't think Kentucky football is good, even though they've had the past couple years, they haven't been normal Kentucky football. They've been a lot better. That's where I'll go. And then my next, moving up the list, which I think you had a little more faith in, and I think it's because maybe I haven't heard as much, maybe I haven't been as much into it, is the Helinski kid down at South Carolina. Yeah. I think that's more of a lack of information thing, but if I'm throwing together a list, Helinski's going to be my next. I don't think he's necessarily a bad quarterback, but I think they need a little more rebuilding. So next I'll go the John Plumlee.
Yeah.
I think he needs to just go somewhere else. probably what he needs to do. After that, I'll go with the because it's about the middle here, that new kid down in Georgia,
Newman.
Newman. Yeah, just because he had he played that RPO at where was Wake Forest? Wake Forest, and Georgia's got that new coordinator,
Right.
and so I think he'll play. I think he'll play pretty well in there. God, this is where it gets tough because I've got some bias. God, I know there's been some hype around this guy because a lot of people have him as number one, but I mean even Clint had him number one, but the KJ Costello, I don't think I don't think he'll shine like everyone's expecting him to. Just call me the contrarian to the KJ Costello. Again, it may be one of those things where the closer it gets to the season, I'm like, well, that was a bad pick. Like he probably needs to move on up. Jesus, where it gets tough. I think I'm up to my top 5.
I think you're at number 4 coming up here. This would be number 4. So
Am I at 4? God. Well, this is where I'll be fair, but also biased. I think Bo Nix is going to be your 4, and I think it's because, yes, he did have that legacy issue, and Gus Malzahn trying not to be what Gus Malzahn was, which he went in the beginning of this past year, and he even not just with subbing players in and out because he's not comfortable with someone, but even trying to play it safe. A lot of games he just, 4th and short, or depending on how far behind in the score are, even if it was close, just making snap decisions to go for it rather than just playing it safe.
Yeah.
So I know that a lot of that played into him keeping the starting job, even though he was very inconsistent. He was, but I'm going to chalk that up to being a true freshman quarterback. But I think that experience is going to help him. Just being able to play a full season is going to help him. I mean, Joey Gatewood literally only came in to run an occasional third down bit. And then you had games like the Alabama game in Dujubad, the Oregon game. I mean, he threw the last touchdown. That was wild. I thought, that got me a little too hyped for him. I thought he was going to shine after that game.
I think a lot of people did.
But
he had me. I thought he was going to do something.
I'm still, and let it be the favoritism game, but I'm going to blame all the shortcomings on the fact that he was a true freshman.
Sure.
The reason he's not going any higher is because now he doesn't have the stellar defense. And when I say stellar, I mean like one of the better defenses we've had to keep him close. He's gonna have to score a lot more. He's gonna have to put some real points on the board, and of course our backfield will play into that. It depends on how well our running backs do. I'm hoping that DJ Williams. I don't know if I did not think I was the lone ranger and thinking he was going to be our for sure starter at running back. I think he did. I mean, I know that Shiver guy, he had the play against Alabama where he knocked what's his name helmet off.
Xavier McKinney.
Yeah, he had some good plays, but I think it'll be another one of those years where it's not. We don't have a set in stone guy in the backfield, and it's just a run through the.
Only one that I could see coming in and becoming that alpha guy is Tank. If the hype is real, Tank's going to be the guy, even as a freshman.
I'm hoping it is. The only thing I get worried about is you always play the freshman gamble, like that. You don't know if they're going to show out.
Really, the bigger question for Auburn's running game this year is not even the running back, because you've got the running back by committee. If Tank isn't coming in and is immediately the impact guy, if he needs a year or two to improve and grow in the system, the bigger question for your running game in 2020 is the offensive line.
Yeah.
You're going to replace, I think it's 4 guys.
It's
4 guys on the O-line.
That's the big...
That's a big question mark.
Yeah, because even the O-line this year wasn't... That was a lot of... I even blame a bunch of Bo Nix's struggles is with his line. Like, a seasoned quarterback probably could have performed a little better, but, man, that line was not... When you thought Auburn football and Auburn offense, specifically, you did not think that they were gifted with a line. And
it was crazy because everyone had them. It was them, Georgia, and Alabama as your top O lines in the SEC coming into the season, and then after the season was over, it was.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just like a like an age thing? Like we just had the depth and experience there, and they just didn't show out, or what? But I don't know why it was.
It was a weird season for the O-line for Auburn. We expected them to be a top of the line unit.
Yeah, that was one of the things that you expect, which is another reason that people thought that Bo Nix was going to be really good, is because he's going to have help from his line.
Right.
So, one last thing with Bo Nix that I think the reason that he will be better is, one, you always have that big jump from freshman, especially starting true freshman to sophomore year.
Right.
That's a pretty big bump just from that, and then we picked up Chad Morris, who is good coordinator, pretty good at developing QB. So I'm hoping that he can fix some of the things that Bo had some decision making issues that I had problems with, not knowing maybe throwing it away too soon or not reading well enough. I'm just hoping that Chad Morris can do some real development there with him.
Right.
So what are we on, 3?
Yeah, top three.
3, I'm gonna go with Mac Jones. I think he'll win it, and I'm not. This is not discounting as much as I like to just rain on Alabama's parade as much as I can. It is hard to say that a Alabama quarterback is not going to be good, considering Nick Saban can plug in the water cooler boy and have a productive offense. It is insane, which is why Tua shines so much, because that's a good quarterback. So when you put somebody good in there, you see how insanely good he is.
Right.
But you can plug in an average QB, and he's not going to be bad.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that Nick Saban, as much as I hate that he's at Alabama, is an amazing coach. I wish that guy would just leave, retire or something. Like, get out of here, man. Like,
yeah, and we talked about that a little bit last week. The way that Nick Saban can just plug in QBs, because he's won national championships with Greg McElroy.
yeah.
I truly mean no disrespect to Greg McElroy, because I love Greg McElroy, amazing analyst. I thought he did not get a fair shake in the NFL. I love Greg. Still my favorite play to this day. Favorite Alabama play, aside from Tyrone Prothrow's catch against Southern Miss. That's my all-time Alabama favorite play. But my favorite play, aside from that, is Greg McElroy hopping one-legged down the sideline in the SEC championship game against Florida.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And
I had no clue where you were going with that, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Love that play, just the heart that he showed. So I truly mean no disrespect to Greg McElroy, but I mean he won national championships with Greg McElroy, Jake Coker. I mean, and AJ McCarron was a top guy, and I think AJ McCarron hasn't gotten a fair shot in the NFL, and I still think he could be a starter in the NFL. But aside from all my little Alabama bias, I mean he's won won national championships with those guys at quarterback who are not who you would think of as national championship winning guys. They're not Cam Newton. They're not Jameis Winston. They're not Tua.
Yeah, they're not standouts. Like,
right.
All those years, like those years that you're talking about, they weren't like the name you heard. Like you knew because they were starters, but they weren't like this is what's gonna propel the Alabama offense.
Right.
But they were consistent. Like literally, that's all you need is a consistent quarterback at Alabama. Like right now, the way Saban has somehow kept that team the same strength of a team for so long is insane. Like what was the year that y'all weren't that much of a contender? Was the first year when y'all got beat by, was it UL Monroe?
Yeah.
Like that was the one season.
Yeah, because it was year one. Nick Saban went 7-6. We won a bowl game. We lost to Louisiana Monroe, and it was just it was a gut wrenching year because we thought we of course as Alabama fans we're all irrational to a point.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it pretty myself pretty objective. But I was younger back then, and naive. I thought Nick Saban was going to come in. We were going to win a national championship year one, but we go 7-6 in year one, and it was a disappointing year. But the very next year in the SEC championship versus Tim Tebow, and he puts us out. I mean, we were undefeated going in, and that was the year that Tebow did the speech after the Ole Miss game, where he says you'll never find a player that works harder than I will, and that whole speech that's now enshrined at a statue down there.
Yeah.
But that was that season that they beat us in year 2, and then we lost to Utah, I think it was, in the Sugar Bowl, and then year after that, national champions.
I mean, it's hard not to get off on a tangent on him, but like he goes to the NFL and it's nothing. Like he hates the NFL, but before that, it's not like he was a nobody. Like he gave LSU, like his recruiting's insane. Like he stacked LSU before he left. Like you see LSU being good, and it's like, well, it's a bunch of Saban's recruits. Like it's exactly what it is. And then what does he do when he moves out of them? He keeps recruiting just like he has. I mean, insane. I mean, it's insane how good they've been, and you hate to say it as a rival, but the dynasty that they have is just like, man, can't we go back to when Alabama had like Andrew Zhao at quarterback? like back in the day.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I don't want to get off. I don't want this to turn into an Alabama love fest, but you can't really talk about college football over the past 10, 15 years without talking about how good Nick Saban and Alabama really have been when you talk about it in the grand scheme, because there's no one even close in today's college football landscape to Nick Saban and what he's accomplished. The only guy he's still got really 10 years to go before he could even be considered in the same conversation, and that's Dabo Swinney.
I was about to say, Dabo, and my biggest fear is as soon as Saban's gone, Dabo's going to march his tail right to Alabama. That's my biggest worry.
And Alabama fans would love nothing more, because that's a homegrown boy.
I know.
Walk-on wide receiver.
I know as soon as it's available, he's going there.
He's getting a phone call. He's going to get a phone call, and he's going to have to tell us no.
Yeah.
Because the first.
I don't think he'll be able to. I don't think he'll be able to.
I don't think he will either. And I know he's come out and said it. I know he's come out and said, but he's at Clemson, of course. What is he going to say?
Yeah.
What is he going to say? Like, oh, yeah, as soon as the Alabama job's open, I'm dipping.
Yeah, especially while Saban's not, he's not on his last leg. So
we don't know when Saban's going to retire.
It'd be another Joe Pie, man.
Yeah, I mean, we could be talking about Saban at 80 still on the sideline. I mean, the man's, I think he's 70 now. I could be wrong.
It looks like 40.
Right. Like, he's in great health. And I mean, we're talking about a man who has put in 30, 40 years almost in football altogether. You're talking about the time with the Browns when he worked with Bill Belichick as his defensive coordinator. And he's put in 30 to 40 plus years now in football. And just he's on the twilight of his career, but he could call a press conference tomorrow and retire. He could call a press conference in another 10 years and retire.
Yeah.
And we don't know. He signed through 2020 something. Yeah. 24, 25. I don't know anymore. He keeps getting extensions every year.
That's just a big worry. Like, cause that's the thing that sucks as an Auburn fan is you see someone like any Auburn fan who says like that Nick Saban's overrated or something. That's like people claiming that there's lizard people among us. Like that's the people that have no clue what football is. I can hate Alabama winning as much as the next Auburn fan and still tell you that Nick Saban's an insane. If it was, would you trade Gus Malzahn for Nick Saban tomorrow? 1,000%, I would. 1,000%. That's no hate for Gus Malzahn. That's just how good Nick Saban is. But to hop off even back to this ranking, this number 3, to hop off the Nick Saban pedestal, as much as I love being on this pedestal. Mac Jones was talking about consistent QBs. What was his? He had like a high completion percentage.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
insanely high. It was like 60. It was like almost 70%. It was like 68 or 69.
See, prior to there was a big conversation, and we still can have the same kind of conversation. That's where I was kind of piggybacking off of. Several weeks ago, I saw a story about who are the best returning QBs in the SEC for 2020, and then that eliminates guys like KJ Costello and the Vandy QB and the Missouri QB, even LSU's guy, because they're going to be new, even though they didn't other than KJ Costello, none of them transferred. they are returning. They're not returning because they weren't their team starter last year. So you were talking about Bo Nix, Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, Ryan Helinski, even Terry Wilson, because he did start at the beginning of the season for Kentucky. But that's the story that I saw, was who were the best returning QBs in 2020. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, blah," and no one was talking about Mac Jones. So I did the research. You know me, huge numbers guy, love the numbers. And if you go and do a blind test, okay, so on Twitter a few weeks ago, I did a blind resume for a lot of people, and I put out like who I thought the top 5 guys really were returning QBs for the SEC in 2020, and so the 5 guys that I did were Kellen Mond, Ryan Helinski, Bo Nix, Kyle Trask, and Mac Jones. So real quick, I'm just going to throw out the stats, the quick stats for these 5 guys in a blind test, and I'm going to let you pick who you would take as your quarterback for 2020. So here's the stats from 2019 in a blind test. So person A had 214 yards per game, had 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, completion percentage of 58.1, had a rating of 113.4. And they played against, the average passing defense they played against was ranked 29th overall. So B passed for 277.5 yards a game, threw for 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, had a 66.7% completion percentage, and a rating of 155.4. And they played against the 59th pass defense on average. Person C, 293 yards per game, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 71.4 completion percentage, and a rating of 211.6, and played against the average rating of a 48th ranked pass defense. And person D threw for 195.5 yards, had 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, had a 57.6 completion percentage, and a rating of 125, and played against the 53rd ranked pass defense on average. And the last person, person E, threw for 222.8 yards per game, had 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a completion percentage of 61.6, and a rating of 131.1, and played against an average ranked defense or pass defense of 59. So out of those 5 guys, who are you taking?
Give me C and A's stats again.
So C was 293 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 71.4 completion, and a rating of 211.6. A had 214.3, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 58.1 completion, 113.4 rating. B, another one that was close, was 277.5 yards a game, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 66.7% completion, and a 155.4 rating.
What were from A, B, and D? That's what we just did.
A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. From A, B, and C, give me the rankings of the defenses they played again.
So A played against the 29th ranked pass defense on average. B played against the 59th ranked pass defense on average. And C played against the 48th ranked passing defense on average.
C or A, but C sounds the best.
Well, you just took Mac Jones.
I figured that's where this was going. I figured this because I knew that I knew he was pretty close to 70% on.
Now, I'll tell you what I did, because I tried to make everybody's stats as good as possible, because Mac was just running away with it. So I eliminated games against FCS opponents.
Yeah.
I eliminated those games, so I discounted those stats, and I also eliminated games in which they did not start. So Kyle Trask gets only the 10, I think it was 10 games that he started. I took Kyle Trask's stats from the 10 games he started, and I discounted any games they played against FCS. So I think Trask played 1 game against FCS, so it ends up being 9 regular season games plus the bowl game. And then for Mac Jones, it ends up being 3 regular season games plus the bowl game.
Who was A and B?
So A was Ryan Helinski, B was Kyle Trask, C.
Maybe he's better than I thought.
C was Mac Jones. D was Bo Nix.
Yeah.
And E was Kellen Mond.
Yeah, that's why I will confidently say that he's going to be in your top 5. Pretty confidently say he's going to be in your top 3 best quarterbacks in the 2020 season, because he's exactly what the Alabama offense performs well with, which is a consistent quarterback. Doesn't have to be a showstopper. Doesn't have to be the huge playmaker. He's just got to be consistent. And that's exactly what he is.
The big thing for Alabama this year is they're going to be able to go back to handing the ball off to a stable, an absolute stable of running backs. We lost Jerome Ford to transfer, and I'm not even worried. A 4-star guy just transfers, and I'm not even worried. Like, I hate it for the kid because he probably wasn't going to play. I really do hate it for the kid. We have a stable at running back with Najee Harris coming back, Brian Robinson coming back, Trey Sanders is coming back from injury, who is a former 5-star prospect who famously said at his commitment ceremony he was going to be a freshman winning the Heisman at running back from Alabama, which, hey, go get it, young blood. I'm just saying. But he was injured his entire freshman year towards, I think it was an ACL that he had in the offseason last year. Didn't even get to play a snap. So we'll see him coming back as a freshman now. I'm sure they redshirted him. And then behind him, you got Keelan Robinson, who is no slouch. And then we got Jace McClellan, who's coming in as another 4-star recruit. I mean, it's just a staple in the backfield. So the pressure's off Mac Jones. The pressure's off Bryce Young if he ends up taking the job. The pressure's off Talia Tungo-Vailoa if he ends up taking the starting job. I honestly don't know who's going to win the starting job. I'm right now about 70% on Mac Jones.
I think it'll be Mac Jones.
I think Mac Jones wins it. His biggest competition, in my opinion, is going to be Bryce Young, but you can't discount Talia either. So we'll see where it goes. I don't want to get off on this big Bama train. So we'll pull it into the station for now, and we'll talk more Bama later on. We'll let you finish up your top 2. So you got Mac Jones at 3. So you've got a couple guys left. Who's 2 and who's 1?
2 and 1 I see is almost interchangeable. I think they're both going to be good. 2, I'm going to have Mond, just because his past 2 seasons have been fairly similar. Like he's a pretty good quarterback. He's not like a huge, like I said, showstopper. He doesn't pull out anything, but he's performed pretty well in the league that he's in, the SEC. He's performed pretty well. He's got a lot of experience, and now I think he's picked up some weapons too, like some younger weapons in this in the past recruiting class that they had. I think he might have picked up a couple people. So I think he'll be number 2. And I think 1's Trask. I think just because he's did well against good defenses. I know Auburn's past defense was not the encapsulating thing about our defense, but still a good defense. And you had people like Davidson and Brown, and like I said, they made big plays. Still, he put up some points, and he put up points against LSU and maybe it was Georgia that he performed pretty well against. But I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be his year. So I think Trask is going to come out shining. I mean, he was putting up a lot of points. And Dan Mullen, he's a good coach. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think that's going to be your top 2, and I'll go back on what I said about them being interchangeable. I think Mond will be 2 and Trask will be 1.
Sure. Yeah. I think Mond has a good chance of being the most improved returning guy for 2020 because, one, the Texas A&M schedule gets just infinitely easier. So Texas A&M changes out Clemson for Colorado and then changes out Georgia for South Carolina and Vanderbilt. So their schedule just gets massively easier.
Gives you that time to shine. Yeah.
So I think Kellen Mond playing against Fresno State and North Texas and Colorado is going to be a lot better than Kellen Mond playing against Clemson and Georgia.
So that'll be a big hike, which is part of this rankings thing at schedule.
right.
Because, which was hard to, even once you've watched next season play out, how do you rank them when you throw in strength of schedule?
Right. That's why I love those blind resumes like I did, because I took into account they played certain ranked pass defense, because it may look like C or even B had this much better year than A. So Trask and Jones had this much better year than Nix and Mond and Helinski. But when you take into account that Helinski and Mond were playing against these much better defenses on a week-to-week basis, it makes their stats look a lot better.
Yeah, that Helinski thing surprised me more than the Mac Jones thing. I kind of saw that curveball coming. I kind of saw the signal from the catcher. I knew that was where it was going to be, and I'd have been disingenuous.
I had to get you in the trap.
I knew it would have been disingenuous though, not picking him, which I knew it was him. But the Helinski thing surprised me. That I might have to come back and correct my ranking of him, just because
his is more of it's a product of him not having weapons around him. He's playing in South Carolina he's playing catch with himself, honestly. I mean, he's the best player on the team by far, and I don't know what weapons he has around him to help him.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's going to have another great year. I don't know if he's going to be a top end guy. He's going to probably be middle of the pack again, just because he's doing it all on his own. But Helinski's underrated. Put him on Alabama. Put him on Florida. Put him with Georgia. Kid's throwing for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. I mean, kid's good.
To end the whole quarterback ranking segment, I'll jump back to my bias with Bo Nix. I think it's going to be a much better year because the freshman freak out of the way.
Yeah.
He didn't do terrible. Like, I mean, was he a great quarterback? No, but he was a true freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think he'll play better just out of experience. I'm banking on that Chad Morris is going to do a good job developing him. The best indicator for how well he's going to do is to see how our O-line does, because even if he gets exponentially better, if you throw a crapshoot of an O-line in front of him, then it doesn't really matter how good he is.
Yeah, if he's running for his life every play, it doesn't really matter how good he is.
Because he's not slow. He's like sneaky slow. Like, he seems faster than he is. He's not slow, but he's
the opposite of Joe Burrow.
Yeah. He's not as fast as he would lead you to believe, which I don't have a problem with. Again, it's going to come down to the development by Chad Morris, which I think is going to be fairly consistent. I think that he will be better developed under Chad Morris. I think that it'll come down to our backfield, whether Tank comes out and he's a go-to guy, or even with a plethora of running backs back there, if we can get a good running game in to open up the passing game, I think that'll help him a ton. And then all that, of course, falls on how well the O-line does. That affects the running game as well as the passing game. Like,
absolutely,
it's basically all coming down to that O-line. You can throw in the defense in there, but like, it doesn't matter if we had the best defense in the world. If we can't move the football, then you get into one of those games like Florida where we barely cross midfield. So
yeah. Well, I guess that will about do it for this episode of SEC Fan Banter. Did you enjoy your first time on?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Awesome.
I'll come a little better prepared next time, but does that mean well prepared? No, it just means better prepared. So, but
well, we're glad to have you on. We're hoping to be able to continue to record, going forward with all the uncertainty surrounding the coronavirus. We really don't know what's going to happen there. We're hoping to be able to record more consistently going forward, but we'll see how everything works out. Again, pleasure to have you on. Hope to see you more in the future. With that, we'll call it a week. If you guys enjoyed this week's episode of SEC Fan Banter, you can find us again on Patreon at patreon.com/SEC Fan Banter. And we're going to have some more promotions coming up in the coming weeks. We decided to extend out this contest for anybody that signs up to be a patron of ours on Patreon. You will be entered into a drawing, and you have a chance to be a guest on a future episode of the podcast. So don't miss that. Check us out on patreon.com. You can find our podcast on Podbean as well as a video version on YouTube, and we should be soon on Apple Podcasts as well. And we're hoping to, in the future, move into Spotify and some other places as well. But check us out. If you like the podcast, again, find us on Patreon. Any little bit of donation to help us keep this going is a huge help. But thank you, everyone, for listening, and we hope to see you again next time.